Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 6 of season 4 of the F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari. Yes, we're back at Imola. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a couple of days ago from Shanghai in China, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. We had one of the oddest mechanical issues I've ever had inside this game, so I'm hoping that doesn't repeat itself this weekend as well there. Of course, it did mean that, sadly, we didn't end up quite fighting for the win like I was hoping for against Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, but we did get our 4th different winner in the opening 5 Grand Prix of the season as well. So things are still looking very, very interesting in the drivers' table. Leclerc has a 9-point buffer over myself at the moment. We have a 14-point lead over Lando Norris, but he, Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen all slowly getting stronger and stronger in this series as well. We seem to run a record of not getting a podium, winning. Not getting a podium, winning. Hopefully that's going to continue this weekend, and we're going to be back on the top step as well there. But a huge shift in terms of vehicle performance as well right now. We've seen Aston Martin jump to the top of the order. We're now behind them, just ahead of Red Bull still. Haas are back to P4 overall, so whether they're going to be able to fight for wins is anybody's guess. McLaren and Mercedes all still right there as well. It seems like, yeah, this season, the performance of the AI cars is getting very, very close. So hopefully we'll maintain an advantage, and I want to try and survive a race at Italy for Ferrari.
Welcome to the circuit named for Ferrari. It is qualifying at a special arena for motorsport. Welcome to Imola.
I tell you what, Aston Martin, Haas and McLaren all bringing upgrades this weekend. Certainly now means we're going to see a bit of a change of the status quo in terms of the big teams that make it through each week. We've still got a fighting chance here, of course. 4 pole positions in a row now. The only race we haven't taken pole was all the way back in Bahrain. I would love to try and extend that record this weekend with another pole position here in front of the Tifosi. But anything can happen as we chucking it over the curbs there through Sector 1. It's so satisfying when you get it hooked up. And we go purple immediately. I mean, Italy has so many iconic race circuits. Monza, Mugello, and of course here at Imola there is all a little bit of a hop, skip and a jump over the curbs. Maybe got away with it being a bit cheeky over those, but yeah, I don't think we really gained any time from it. The car didn't really settle as nicely as I would like. There is all a little bit of a compromise run down in towards the final couple of corners. Get on that throttle though nice and early. Up towards the line. We're looking for ideally a low 1:13. And we're going to smash that. It's going to be a 1:12.8. We've got some pace. Well, there we go then. Fastest at the end of Q2 there. And after I tried to downplay Ferrari's chances, it looks like we've still got a little bit in the back pocket over everybody else then. Norris in 3rd ahead of Alonso and Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen barely made it into Q3 in the end with a last-ditch run. I mean, Lance Stroll, he's got the best car on the grid now. He'll end up in P11 there. Sergio Perez also out in Q2, as both Haas cars squeeze by. Well, we do get 2 bites of the cherry here in Q3, but we know the AI's pace will also ramp up rather aggressively, so don't quite know who even it is that's gone fastest so far. We were too busy on our outlap here, but hopefully we're going to be able to try and get a good time on the board there. As I mean, look at that, Haas and Mercedes. Not exactly the two you'd expect to be battling with each other, but that's the way things are looking at the moment. Just trying to tap the curbs through the first chicane once again there, allow the car to run wide on the exit Tamburillo. I mean, every single corner around here is pretty iconic. The Gilles Villeneuve chicane up next. And we'll just like get it navigated nice and tidy through there. 3/10 up again. That first sector seems to be where we're finding most of our time, but we've got to get the rest of the lap hooked up as we make our way then out of Aqua Minerale. The camber there really does hug the car in and allows you to get the power down nice and early, half a second up on the time set by Hulkenberg. Oh, again, a little bit understeery on the exit the chicane there. The car really doesn't like to do those quick changes of direction still. Does not give me much confidence as we look towards Monaco next weekend. Bit too much curb on the entry through the final couple of corners. Get the power down though. It's been a pretty tidy lap still. Hopefully we'll put us at least right in the hunt. 12.7. We go P1. Well, there we go. Another fantastic qualifying effort here for ourselves. Leaves us with pole position And it only took one run. We were the only driver to get down into the 112s all weekend, and we managed to do it twice there. Alonso, though, will join me on the front row alongside last year's winner here, Max Verstappen, Russell and Norris as well. Not a million miles away. Charles Leclerc struggling down in P6 ahead of both Haas cars and both Mercs. Could there be a big opportunity today to reclaim the lead of the title?
Hello there and welcome back to Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters in red today. They've all turned out for what we have every expectation will be a sensational event here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One tracks as it's driven anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Firestarter lines up on pole position, and it's Fernando Alonso alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Russell, Leclerc, Hülkenberg, Hamilton, Gasly, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Stroll, Albon, Perez, Ocon, Behrman, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Sainz, Zhou, and Frederic Vesti. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Okay, as you know, this is the team's home race, which means it's extra important for everybody in this team. They've got friends here, they've got family here, they're all in the grandstands watching, so let's go and put on a good show for them.
Well, last year, we did 2 Italian Grand Prix, and both races we had a mechanical failure that was out of our control. Last weekend, we had a mechanical issue, and I think if you guys remember back to Miami last year, we had a mechanical failure in the sprint as well. Does not bode well as we head into the GP today, but, you know, we've got to finish an Italian race at some point inside F1 24. Medium to hard is going to be the way to go, but yeah, I'm worried about the pressure that's going to be applied from behind. We've got a lot of quick cars around us now. Alonso, we know how hungry he always is for a win. It is 5 red lights. And it is going to be lights out, and away we go then here for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and Alonso immediately getting a better start than myself there. We kind of get forced a little bit towards the grass with our starting procedure as Alonso almost banging wheels there through turn 1. Verstappen just trying to wait in the wings there as Charles Leclerc just moves up into P4 ahead of George Russell. And Alonso then, look at that straight around the outside through the Gilles Villeneuve chicane as well. So that has been a power move by the Spaniard here very early on in the day. Verstappen, I thought he was going to struggle based on his Q1 and Q2 time. And he was able to clutch up in the end and find himself right towards the front of the order. Still, yeah, not able, well, nobody seems to be able to get past us over 1 lap. Since Bahrain, Ferrari have still taken every pole position this year, despite obviously only winning, what, half of the Grand Prix so far. So race pace for other teams definitely seems to be a little bit more competitive. Alonso, I'm sure, in that Aston Martin this weekend is going to be hoping that's the case. He's struggled over those opening 5 Grand Prix. That car's had a lot of potential that he really hasn't been able to maximise. So he'll be looking this weekend to finally get his, well, you know, whether it's title hopes or just his season back on track there, as we'll get really nice traction out of the final corner. We'll have a look to the inside. Way yellow. Alonso desperate there to give me as little room as he possibly could down in towards turn 1. Can we hook it up all the way around the outside though? Alonso gives us the room. We will return it in kind. But in doing that, Verstappen will slip into second. Well, Alonso in the end then actually fought back against Verstappen through the next couple of chicanes there. And that's worked out beautifully for us, because we've got a little bit of a buffer now at the front of the field. Leclerc still, yeah, just waiting a little bit further behind in that P4 position. Of course, couldn't beat Max last year, even with myself out of the way. But of course, as I've said before, we need to be ruthless this season. Any chance at a win, you've got to just take with both hands and not really give anybody else a look in. Otherwise, yeah, very quickly things can and will go wrong. Well, I am prepared to work these tyres quite hard early, just to give ourselves a bit of a buffer. There we go. A 1:15.3 is a very, very competitive lap time then, not a million miles away from what we were doing in qualifying, and you can just see that gap to Alonso. I think, you know, it's psychological warfare as much as anything else. It's about making sure the other drivers don't even think they've got a shot. Well, I think Leclerc's now finally remembering how to drive this car this weekend, because he's moved past Verstappen and up into 3rd place then, but Alonso already has got a little bit of a buffer over our teammate further behind. I'm already just starting to struggle a little bit with the tyres. We have worked them incredibly hard early on in this GP, but of course it's quite funny. Shanghai is probably one of the hardest tracks against the AI inside F124. Imola probably one of the easiest in terms of pace, so obviously we run 110 AI around every single venue, but yeah, some of them that makes life a lot easier than others. Whoa! That was a little bit scary early on in the GP. Definitely goes to show that we're struggling a little bit with the tyres. Yeah, just nicked the curb there, tried to carry the speed off the corner. And, you know, like I've said, this Ferrari a couple of times, it's a very fast race car, especially over one lap. It does sometimes like to chew through its rubber, and that's exactly what we're experiencing today. We might have to come in for quite an early pit stop. Well, Leclerc has now rocked up to the back of Alonso. We're going to dive into the pit lane at the end of this lap then to take a set of the hard tyres, hopefully through to the end of the Grand Prix. And there we go, Charles Leclerc then up into P2. So Ferrari, it wasn't necessarily that the car lacks pace this weekend, it was more that Leclerc had bottled qualifying. Yeah, I mean, it made our life a whole lot easier, putting 6/10 on him at one of the team's home Grand Prix. I don't think we can complain about, but as you can see, yeah, the tyres really are starting to get a little bit more tricky to drive on. And there we go, that might go as far to explain why we're struggling a little bit on those rear tyres there. That rear right, just getting warm up, just getting a little bit too warm, sorry, I should say, at this stage of the day. I mean, the hard tyres should go 20 laps, though, for the end of the GP. We just got to try and make sure that we don't come out in too much traffic. Oh, damn it. Damn it, man! That's not the first time I've done that either with Ferrari on this game, and that is super, super annoying. Then we've got a 10-second time penalty for the rest of the afternoon. What? Why are we on softs? What is that? Why on earth are we on soft compound tyre? It says hards. Eh? Is that Ferrari doing the most Ferrari thing I've ever witnessed inside this game?
One stop to go, just one stop left in this strategy.
I mean, what am I meant to do now? But I mean, surely we're gonna have to like double soft this or something later on in the GP. But have Ferrari, what could be one of the easiest wins of my life inside F124, have they completely ruined that for us? Maybe in a bid to try and give Leclerc an advantage at the front of the order. I mean, now I've got to get the bit between my teeth. We should be one of the quickest cars on track to the end.
They haven't yet pitted and they're on a one-stopper, so don't waste time fighting because they should be coming in soon.
No, we've got to get on with it, Mark. I don't know what you're on about, buddy. Especially with the 10-second penalty. That has been an utter disaster. I mean, I guess the good thing for us is, of course, where we only did that one lap in Q3, we have got another set of completely fresh soft compound tyres here, so we've got to try and get these to about the end of lap 21 or 22. And then we'll dive in again and go to another set of softs to the end of the afternoon. We worked that first set of mediums a bit too hard, so I think these should be okay. But now we're really going to have to try and get our elbows out with the rest of the order, because we cannot afford to sit behind Fred Vesti for all too long this afternoon. They're just running a little bit wide over the curbing. Will we even get close enough, though, to go for anything down in towards the final couple of corners? Oh, Vesti wanted, I think, to turn in there, just about spotted us down the inside, but we will make it through. And obviously now we'll have the DRS as well for free.
Nice move, keep going.
Yeah, we're going to have to make a lot of overtakes now, but another new fastest lap of the day. Almost into the 1-minute 14s. There we go, other cars into the pit lane then. Fernando Alonso, the first of the new front runners to blink in this GP. That's going to be Leclerc. Going to opt to go just one, probably, lap longer in this race, and hopefully for me means we've got to deal with a little less traffic.
Good stuff, mate. You hit the target well there. Nice one. It's a long way to go in this race, though, so keep your head down.
14.5 new fastest lap, but I guess for us it kind of matters what the gap is to Alonso now, especially obviously when we've got that 10-second time penalty. We've got to just keep trying to build up the buffer until we pit again. And that gap is about, what, 15, 16 seconds? Oh, I'm too busy looking at that rather than where I should be going. About 13 seconds. Charles Leclerc in the pit lane then, so to be fair, we're not a million miles away behind our teammate. And like I said, we should be quicker pretty much between now and the end of the Grand Prix, but especially with that 10-second time penalty. I mean, look at that, Hulkenberg momentarily was leading this Grand Prix. We're still yet to see him get a podium in Formula 1. I certainly would love to see it happen this weekend there, as Norris and Piastri will move back through. Is Alonso going to get the undercut? Yes, he is. You can see we just put about another half a second on him in that last lap. It does make me chuckle, of course. Ferrari IRL over the weekend absolutely nailed the strategy out at Monza, so clearly they can only do it once. It's either they do it well in real life or they do it well inside this game. Yeah, we're going to be boxing in a few more laps time. The tyre wear looks pretty good, but you can see we are just overheating those rears slightly. I'll be honest though, of course this opens up a huge window for other drivers. No idea what happened to Leclerc through the pit window, but I would accept, second, third or fourth as a winner today. I think would be a story in itself. For Zhou Guanyu then, the first retirement of the Grand Prix, and I must admit, just starting to get a little bit nervous. Of course, unless you get two during a race, sometimes that can mean you're going to be the next one that gets one, but yeah, luckily, well, I say luckily, obviously it's really bad luck for Zhou Guanyu, already out of this GP. A safety car would have been really helpful for us though, because effectively, the penalty and the pit stop would have almost been for free. We've basically, what we've got to try and do is 4 seconds less than the entire pit stop. That's how much we've got to try and close up on Alonso in the second half of this Grand Prix, especially when you factor in that 10-second time penalty. So we are going to have our work cut out in the second half of this race. I think it is going to be mainly damage limitation. As we make our way then into the pit lane, make sure I don't make the same mistake again. Oh, that was close. I mean, that's what annoys me as well, the fact that sometimes it glitches and it just doesn't give you your pit speed, which is rather frustrating. I know it didn't the first time round, and now we have got the longest wait in the world. There goes Fernando Alonso. Here comes Pierre Gasly and Lewis Hamilton as well, a little bit further behind. Luckily, none of our team are doing what Ricciardo's pit crew did over the weekend.
Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that.
I mean, we are going to be right out towards the rear of the field. Hopefully, we're going to be ahead of the Alpine of Esteban Ocon, but even that, I'm not convinced we are. So, effectively, yeah, we've got to try and make up the entire first sector. 40 seconds we've spent in the pit lane. And even Ocon will get out ahead of me then, but we are on fresher, softer tyres to the end. We could be, upwards of 2 seconds a lap faster. To be fair, if we lose this Grand Prix by less than 10 seconds, I have only got myself to blame. Because that tyre strategy blunder might not be the end of the world, but the 10-second penalty on top of that certainly might be.
17.5 seconds.
17 seconds up to Leclerc up the road. We do need to be going 2 seconds a lap faster than the AI by the end of the afternoon. I wish there was an option inside this game to get like lap by lap updates on the other cars around you, because that'd be super useful. There we go, 1:14.00. Yeah, if we could just know exactly what lap times others are doing, that'd be really helpful. But I'm watching Hulkenberg as well, our teammate that was terrible when we were at Haas. Is he finally going to get his first ever Formula 1 podium? This is where things get really, really tricky. We are so much faster than some of these drivers in front. But you have got to be so careful trying to move your way through them. To the outside of Ollie Behrman will go. Just being a little bit more cautious on the brakes there. Do not want to go into the back of Carlos Sainz. You can see, yeah, Ricciardo as well, just in front. That Alex Albon at the front of this train, or is that Pierre Gasly? I can't quite make it out. It is Alex Albon. So hopefully we can try and get a run out of this final corner, utilise the Ferrari straight line speed. I'm going to try and get the car into overtake there, activate the DRS. Hopefully we're going to move past Sainz pretty quickly. I could do with a 9th gear at the moment there as well. Look at that, Ricciardo and Albon really squeezing each other as... Oh, Albon! Oh, I think he wanted to have a look back down the inside of Ricciardo at turn 1. He went exactly to the same place I wanted to go, and that could have been an airplane crash. Right, come on then, we were able to do it to Ollie Behrman last lap. Can we try and do it to Alex Albon this time round? To the outside again. through the chicane there, and that was a bit more aggressive than the first attempt, but we pulled it off again. And you can see that. I mean, we could still be in the fight for P2 by the end of the race. We've got 6 laps to go now of this GP, and we are still closing in. Luckily, there's a few AI that are a bit more spread out, so we might be able to pick them off one by one, as Ricciardo won't have any DRS off of Lance Stroll. So we'll use our DRS, get round him, and hopefully get in the range of the Canadian. Look at that, 1 lap further on, all over the back of Lance Stroll as well. Then, as you can see, they are starting to battle a bit more, a little bit further up there. So Hülkenberg and Hamilton now trying to dispute that P2 position, and that helps everybody out behind them to potentially get a bit closer. 5 laps to go. Points are definitely possible by the end of this, but it's how many? Oh, Yuki Tsunoda unable to get the power down at the top of the hill there. Of course, I'm sure he remembers racing for Ferrari around this circuit, as that was incredibly ragged. We'll get the power down, though, on the exit of the corner there, and we will make the move happen. Oh, no, it's not Hülkenberg, it's Gasly that's running up in P2. So I've got my Haas cars completely the wrong way around. But either way, I mean, it's a little bit... Obviously, we've seen Gasly win a Grand Prix before. I would like to see Hülkenberg get his first podium. Doesn't look to be happening today. Oh, here we go. Perez then to the outside of that Haas, back down towards turn 1. Ahead of them, we've got just one other car before that huge trainer. What a power move that was. Oh, by Sergio Perez. You can see we're taking all the risk possible to try and gain any extra time there. Huge moment over the curbing through turn 1 and turn 2. Yeah, we're definitely once again starting to struggle with those rears, but we've got to get past these two. Well, this might be the last chance we get to utilise this car's straight line speed today. At the final corner, get that power down. Tyre advantage, I think, is basically all but disappeared. Yeah, 5 seconds up to our teammate up the road there. What is that by Perez against his old teammate Nico Hülkenberg there? Very dangerous block down turn 1. I can't complain too much, though, because he gave me a couple of freebies. Will we get to Verstappen by the last lap of the Grand Prix? I mean, he could still end up being our title rival this season, so to outscore him would still be useful. Well, Fernando Alonso then starts the last lap of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and I remember back in Albert Park, I said we could see 5 different winners in sort of the opening 6 or 7 Grand Prix, and that is exactly what is about to happen. Did not realise that Verstappen actually had front wing damage, so no idea how he picked that up in this Grand Prix, but that would explain his little lack of pace over the course of the afternoon. But can we continue closing in that gap to Oscar Piastri in front? 2.5 seconds. I'm not optimistic unless, yeah, Hamilton and Gasly continue to battle.
2.2 seconds.
I mean, we have worked so hard to try and recover today. So frustrating. I don't know why I'm cursed here in Italy in the Ferrari car, but I want to try and get one Italian win in red before we are done and dusted inside F124. A little bit of a wobble there up the top of the hill might be the difference between us and getting to Oscar Piastri there. It costed me about 0.3 of a second. They make their way up into the chicane for the final time there. Fernando Alonso through the final corners. He's seen Leclerc, myself, Russell and Verstappen win before him. Alonso is going to become our 5th winner in the opening 6 Grand Prix this season. What a campaign it has been so far through the final corner. Disappointment for us. It is only good enough for P8.
The old master has done it again. Fernando Alonso takes the checkered flag.
Well, it all came good in the end for them, but it wasn't an easy start. Not the most straightforward of days, but I think it shows great strength in an athlete as a driver when you can overcome a day like this and walk away still with a victory.
You can see them on their way out to the podium now. Aston Martin really are making waves in this sport, and what a special race this was to see them earn the top spot.
I guess we can take a little bit of solace in knowing that the 10-second penalty didn't actually make the difference in the end between us and a win, but it certainly could have meant we would have finished P2 there, and that could have been rather handy when all is said and done. Fernando Alonso takes the win ahead of Pierre Gasly and Lewis Hamilton, so I think that's going to be a pretty happy podium right the way around there. Russell in 4th ahead of Leclerc, Norris, Piastri, myself, with Verstappen and Hulkenberg rounding out the top 10. Another torrid weekend for Red Bull after the win in Shanghai. They seem to have fallen back down the order just a little bit here. That means in terms of the championship, well, Leclerc opens up that gap at the top now to 14 points over myself. Norris in 3rd still, ahead of Alonso there with Piastri and George Russell rounding out your top 6. Verstappen ahead of Hamilton, Lance Stroll ahead of Perez and Gasly there. And say, most drivers have scored points so far this year. Big points for Pierre Gasly there, as still just Behrman, Ricciardo and Vesti yet to get out of the starting blocks. Ferrari up to a nice round 200 points there, ahead of McLaren and Aston Martin. Mercedes still ahead of Red Bull, and Haas now leapfrog their way into best of the rest. Like I said, we seem to be cursed at Imola inside this game with Ferrari or Monza. Just any Italian track when we're racing for Ferrari does not seem to go our way. Thank you all so much for watching though, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the jewel in the crown. We've got to try and finish the Monaco Grand Prix.